accordance with the governor's recent proclamation requiring face coverings when inside public buildings, all persons attending tonight's meetings must, unless exempted from doing so, wear coverings over the nose and mouth. Persons presenting comments to the board should remove the face coverings. Would you all please stand while Mr. LaSalle Williams says the invocation and pledge of allegiance?
Dear God, we thank you for allowing us to learn the best day. Thank you for life, blood, and peace. Give us our sins and our shortcomings and make us fit to serve. We come tonight thanking you, Lord, for another opportunity to serve our government, serve our community. We pray for this board. We pray for this staff that will come before us tonight, that we be fair, honest, and truthful. And we pray for those who suffer throughout the land, that they be blessed as well. And we pray for those who come seeking our help tonight, that the Holy Spirit guide and lead us, that we might do that which is right in your sight. This we offer this night is our prayer. Amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, Coach. Christie, would you please call the roll?
Chair Kirk Smith,
Here.
Vice Chair Julia Dickerson,
Here.
Miss Latricia Cobb, Mr. Keith Dubrock, Miss Sharon Galicia, Miss Janelle Hyatt, Mr. Art Little,
Here.
Mr. Jake Porche,
Here.
Mr. Carl Vincent, Mr. LaSalle Williams,
Here.
and Miss Deanne Winey. Here.
Thanks, Christie. This is an 11-member board. It will take a majority of those members present to grant or deny any request heard tonight. The chair will refrain from voting unless that vote might affect the outcome. The meeting will be conducted with me reading the requests from the agenda. The planning staff will give a presentation and report their recommendations. If the applicant would like to add to the staff's presentation, or if someone from the audience has comments, please come to the microphone and state your name, address, and the nature of your request. All persons wishing to speak other than the applicants need to fill out a blue request to appear form located in the back of this room. The form must be given to a staff member prior to the reading of the agenda item. As required by this board's bylaws, in all cases, the proponents will be limited to 10 minutes. Opponents will be granted 10 minutes as well, with each speaker allowed no more than 3 minutes. I recommend that a spokesperson be selected if there's a large number wanting to speak on the same agenda item. If 4 or more speaker request forms are submitted, the time allowed for individual speakers will be limited based upon the number of forms submitted. The chair has the right to limit speakers who present redundant information or personal attacks. In unique situations, the chair may extend or the board may vote to extend the time allotted for speakers. After discussion, the board will vote on each request. I will announce the decision of the board after the vote. The exceptions and variances are final tonight. The road abandonment will go before the police jury for final action on October 21st, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. This meeting is being filmed by the Calcasieu Parish Government Channel and can be viewed on Wednesday and Thursday following the meeting. For additional run dates, check the website at www.calcasieuParish.gov, Channel 5 in Lake Charles, Sulphur, Moss Bluff, Westlake, Vinton, DeQuincy, and Gillis, Channel 99 in Carlos and Grand Lake. Please either turn off or silence all electronic devices. Take appropriate action to approve the minutes of September 21st, 2021 Planning and Zoning meeting. I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes. Motion by Mr. Little, second by Ms. Dickerson. All those in favor state aye. Aye. Motion passes. I ask the board at this time if we may entertain the motion to take agenda item number 11 and move it into the spot that we're currently on, number 6. Motion made by Ms. Dickerson, second by Mr. Dubrock. All those in favor state aye. Item 11, which is now 6, take appropriate action on EX-0821-0120, a request by Sandy Lake LLC for an exception to allow a 10-year extension of an existing borrow pit in the 5,000 block of Hecker Road in Ward 8. I will entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Cobb, second by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Tunn.
This property is located in Hecker and is zoned agricultural. In 2018, the applicant received approval to excavate a borrow pit for a total of 54 acres with the condition that the excavation be complete within 3 years. Since minimal work has been performed, the applicant is requesting a time extension of 10 years. Because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following conditions. That the development must be in accordance with Section 26-122, 1H, 4I through XII of the Parish Code of Ordinances, that hauling must be completed within 10 years, and that utilization of additional parish roads is subject to future bonding requirements in the event parish roads are impacted by heavy truck traffic.
Thank you, Ms. Tunn. Does the applicant have anything to offer to the staff's presentation if they're present? I don't see any motion in that direction. No, there's no blue cards on this item. Therefore, all those in favor state aye. Aye. All opposed state nay. Motion carries. Back to item 6. Take appropriate action on SUB 0821-0160, a request by Kenneth Nichols Edux for preliminary subdivision approval to allow a commercial subdivision, 2 lots and 10 acres, Phase 1 subdivision at 2126 North Perkins Ferry Road in Ward 1. I will entertain a motion for approval with condition.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Cobb, second by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Tunn.
This property is located in Moss Bluff and encompasses approximately 2.34 acres of light commercial zone land. In 2011, the board approved a preliminary plat for Terra Acres development, which would have consisted of a total of 74 lots throughout the entire development. Due to new regulations that were adopted in 2008, the project lost the grandfathering, and at this time, the applicant is requesting a new preliminary plat approval in order to move forward to develop 2 commercial lots. Because the proposed subdivision development is consistent with the character of the area, the staff recommends the request be granted with the following conditions. That the development is subject to an application and/or compliance with the LPDES stormwater discharge permit, which may be required through the Department of Environmental Quality and the Calcasieu Parish Division of Planning and Development. And that the preliminary plat and runoff management plan must be approved by the Division of Engineering prior to submittal of final plans.
Thank you, Ms. Tunn. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's presentation? If present. We have no blue cards on this item. All those in favor state aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item 7, take appropriate action on AB-0921-0025, a request by West Calcasieu Port, Harbor, and Terminal District to abandon and revoke the original right-of-way dedication of a portion of Old Ferry Road, south 817 feet at 200 Old Ferry Road in Ward 4. I will entertain a motion for approval. Motion by Mr. Little.
Second.
Second by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Tunn.
This right-of-way is located in the Carlos area near the Intercoastal Canal. The right-of-way serves the West Calcasieu Port, Harbor, and Terminal District's property and does not serve the general public. Because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends the request be granted.
Thank you, Ms. Tunn. Does the applicant have anything to offer on this item? There's none. We have no blue cards on this item as well. All those in favor state aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item 8, take appropriate action on VAR-0921-0177, a request by Brian Odom Edux for a variance to decrease the front and side yard setback requirements for a pond, required 50 feet, requesting 20 feet, at 4393 Shupick Road in Ward 4. I will entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Cobb, second by Mr. Little. Ms. Tunn.
This property is in the Shoe Peak area and encompasses 3 acres of agricultural land. The applicant intends to excavate a pond on the property that does not meet the required 50-foot setback. Because there is no evidence of a hardship, the staff recommends the request be denied. Should the board grant the request, the staff recommends the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file with the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plan in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development, that the development adhere to stormwater best management practices, and that the obstructing the flow of surface water is prohibited. There are 2 emails in your packets, or in front of you, that are in favor to this request, and we have not received any written opposition.
Okay. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's presentation?
Other than the emails that y'all have received,
Name and address
nothing
for
to
the record,
add.
sir.
Say again?
Name and address for the record.
My name is Brian Odom. My address is 4912 Maplewood Drive. I'm also the owner of the property in question. Other than the email that y'all have received, I have nothing to add.
Okay.
I'm assuming that y'all also have copies of the application with the pertinent drawings?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Is any
Say again?
questions for the applicant?
I just have a question.
Yes, sir. Mr. Vincent?
What's the difference between where Mr. Odom wants to put a pond and really 2 doors down, there's already a pond in the curb? Oh. And there's already a pond in the curb, so what's the difference that we're looking at? Same situation?
Basically the same situation,
Mr. Crane?
2 doors down.
Up there.
I'm sorry.
Are you addressing that to me? Mr. Wilson?
Well, maybe you.
I couldn't tell
Mr.
if you were
Crane.
addressing him or me.
Well, you, I think.
Okay.
Where Mr. Odom's wanting to dig his pond, just 2 doors down, there's already a pond. Is it the same?
Yeah.
Is everything the same comparison?
There's several ponds in this general area right here. And a lot of those ponds were constructed prior to the adoption of the ordinance back in, I think, 2019? And so, yeah, some of those ponds are what we would consider non-conforming at this time, but they were legally established because they were built prior to this particular ordinance. And so when this particular ordinance was adopted in 2019, that's when the 50-foot setback requirements came into play. Our engineering department was the one that sort of requested that be done, simply because, putting the correct side slopes on those ponds, making sure there was not a lot of sloughing of those ponds into neighboring properties. And so that was what they chose. And again, if you look at this particular tract of land, it's a pretty large tract of land. I mean, so there's really, we really don't see any hardship because you can configure it, in such a way that, you could probably meet those setbacks, is what we could see. We didn't see anything on the drawing or site plan that would indicate there'd be an obstruction, whether that be a pipeline corridor or whatever, that would obstruct him from being able to move it to the correct setback.
Okay.
I got one question. In light of the question and the explanation that you give, a lot of these ponds back there before the new ordinance, we permitted for them to build construction of roads and all that, and maybe some other. But what is I like Mr. Odom, what is the purpose of his pond?
The purpose of the pond is to provide fill material to build up the pads for the structures on the property. And as far as the size of the property is concerned, the property is large, but the dimensions of the property are the holdup here. When you deal with a piece of property that's 900 feet long by 200 feet wide and a 50-foot setback, you lose 60% of your surface area for excavation.
Thank you.
And,
Ms.
Mr.
Gleason?
Odom, when did you buy the property?
About a year and a half ago, what was it? April of 2020, April or May.
And Wes, is it set back from each side, so from the back and from each of his neighbors? So
Yeah.
that's what I
Yes,
thought.
from all property lines.
So, Mr. Odom, this 50-foot setback creates a hardship?
I'm not sure what the definition, as far as y'all are concerned, of a hardship is. It makes it uneconomical for us to develop this piece of property.
Okay, even if you would put it further south, just,
Our plans for this property and the way it's laid out, the low spot on this property is about a quarter of the way up from the south end of the property. So we want to put the residence and the shop away from the low spot within the dimensions of the property. So the further south we go, the closer we get to the low spot, the more dirt it requires.
Chopped up a nice piece of property.
okay. Any other questions for the applicant? Or staff? Thank you, sir. Ms. Christie, let's go roll call vote.
Mr. DeBrock,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent,
Yes.
Ms. Galicia. Yes. Mr. Little,
Yes.
Ms. Cobb,
No.
Ms. Winey. Yes. Ms. Dickerson,
no.
Ms. Hyatt,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
No.
Mr. Porsche.
No.
6 for and 4 against.
Motion passes. I've learned that. Okay. Item 9, take appropriate action on VAR-0921-0178, a request by Christopher Guidry for a variance to decrease the rear yard setback requirement, required 3 feet, requesting 0 feet at 3835 Hurd Road in Ward 3. I will entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Dickerson, second by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Tunn.
This property is located in Lake Charles and is zoned is zoned commercial, light commercial. There's an existing home and accessory buildings on this property. The accessory buildings were damaged due to Hurricane Laura. At this time, the applicant would like to replace the accessory buildings, which he is requesting a variance from the required 3-foot setback to a 0-foot setback. Because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file with the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plans in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development, that a gutter system be installed to contain rainwater on the applicant's property, and that the buildings must comply with the requirements of the 2015 International Building Code.
Thank you, Ms. Tunn. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's presentation? If present? Okay. And there's no blue cards on this item? All those in favor, state aye. Oh, I'm sorry, there's a question?
No, I have questions.
Chair, you didn't have a question?
No, I didn't.
Okay. All those,
Confused?
all those in favor state aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item 10, take appropriate action on VAR-0921-0185, a request by Sandra Woodard for a variance to allow 2 dwellings with less than required public road frontage, required 200 feet, requesting 175 feet, at 2636 Manchester Road in Ward 8. I will entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Cobb. Second by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Tunn.
This property is located in the Manchester area and encompasses 1.6 acres of agricultural zone property. The applicant had an existing manufactured home on this property that she shared with her daughter and grandchildren. The manufactured home was a total loss due to Hurricane Laura. The applicant has allowed her daughter to place a manufactured home on the property to expedite their return home. At this time, the applicant is requesting to place a second manufactured home on the property to be used as her residence. Because the development is not consistent with the immediate area, the staff recommends the request be denied. Should the board grant the request, the staff recommends the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file, the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plans in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development, and that the manufactured homes must be skirted prior to utilities being connected. The applicant has submitted a letter of intent in her packet, and also there are 2 letters in favor of this request that you have in front of you. You should have, it should be in your packet. Do you have it?
We have one email and one email.
I got you. Okay.
Okay. Is the applicant present and would like to present?
My name is Sandra Woodard. I reside at 2636 Manchester Road, Lake Charles. I'm the applicant for this variance. Pretty much my letter stated my purpose. What I'm simply trying to do is get my family back home, and I apologize. And the problem is because I sold a piece of my property, not realizing that I would need 200 footage. If I had known that, I would have certainly done things different. But it was unfortunate. I sold the piece of property so I could get a down payment for a home for myself. Then to realize I had applied for a variance to find out that there was some kind of opposition requiring me to have 200 feet instead of 175. Buying that additional 25 footage of property is not going to make or change my setup. It's actually kind of a hardship because the gentleman that I sold the property to has already started his plans and has got his piece of land and involvement. I'm just asking you to have compassion for me. This is one of my granddaughters, but I have 4 granddaughters. Their home is now ready. They can now occupy, but I want to go back home with my grandchildren.
Any questions from Ms. Woodard? Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Porsche.
Which piece did you sell and how long ago did you
Well,
sell?
let me kind of explain because originally, the last one I sold was the one to the south of me, okay?
Okay.
But that was originally going to be the very only piece I was going to sell. A couple of years ago, he wanted to buy that, so I had it drafted up. I was going to sell him. In the meanwhile, I asked the surveyor to draft up my whole property because at one point, I didn't have a necessary need for the property to the north of me, but I just wanted to have an idea in case I need to sell it later. I've been mowing this grass myself since 2004. It's just more than I need. Anyway, COVID came. I lost my job. I had no income, so I sold my piece of property to the north of me that I intended to keep, so I could get out of debt and live during 2020. Then Laura came, destroyed the homes that we were living in. I'm drawing over Social Security. I know you could care less. I'm just trying to tell you the hardship that I've faced. So I sold the piece. The gentleman to the south of me that originally wanted my property, he's an electrician, so obviously business is good for him because of all the devastation in our area. So now he had the money to buy that piece of property, and unfortunately, I had no means to have a home, so I sold it without redrawing the draft to modify for me to have 200 foot of frontage feet, and I apologize for myself.
That's all, that's the only thing I have.
Any other questions?
And by the way, these are new homes. I might want to tell you that my daughter's got a brand-new home, and I have a brand-new home waiting for me to get approval or whatever I need to do to go home.
Coach, you have a question?
My question is Manchester Road, is that off of 90?
Not that, no, it's South Manchester, sir. That's right where you're talking about, right off of 90 is North Manchester. You have to go down McCown Road and do a little dido to get to me. I'm out there with the cows and the horses.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. That's all. No other questions? We're good? Okay. Any questions for the staff by the board on this matter? None? Christie? Mr. Little?
My question to staff is what we're asking for is because the property isn't wide enough. Does it have enough square footage? Evidently it does, or it wouldn't be brought up. Okay.
Yes, sir. It meets the lot square footage.
Okay. Ms. Christie, roll call vote?
Ms. Dickerson?
Yes.
Mr. Little?
Yes.
Mr. Porsche?
Yes.
Ms. Winey?
Yes.
Ms. Hyatt?
Yes.
Ms. Galicia?
Yes.
Ms. Cobb?
Yes.
Mr. DeBrock?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yeah,
Mr. Vincent?
Yes.
10 for.
Motion passes. Okay. Item 12, take appropriate action on EX-0921-0121, a request by Tower Land Company LLC for an exception to allow a 10-year extension of 2 existing borrow pits in the 4100 block of Highway 108 West in Ward 7. I will entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Cobb, second by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Tunn.
This property is located between Sulphur and Benton, and in 2018, the applicant received approval to excavate 2 borrow pits for a total of 310 acres, with the condition that the excavation be completed within 3 years. Since no work has been performed, the applicant is requesting a 10-year time extension. Because the surrounding land uses are agricultural and light industrial, the staff recommends the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development must be in accordance with Section 26-122, 1H4I through XII of the Parish Code of Ordinances, that the development must comply with all conditions under Ordinance Number 7058, that direct access to Fallbacher Road is prohibited, that a runoff management plan will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering, that permitting is subject to approval of the Gravity Drainage District Number 2 of Ward 7, and that the hauling must be completed within 10 years.
Thank you, Ms. Tunn. Is the applicant present and would like to add to the staff's presentation? If not, there's no blue cards on this item. Any questions by the board for the staff on this matter? There being none, all those in favor state aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item 13, take appropriate action on EX-0921-0122, a request by Edmund Echevarria for an exception to allow commercial development, inflatable bounce houses, and fun jump rentals at 7094 Tom A. Bear Road in Ward 3. I will entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Cobb, second by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Tunn.
This property is located in South Lake Charles and encompasses approximately 5 acres of agricultural zone land. The applicant intends to construct a 50 by 80 metal building on his property to store inflatable bounce houses and fun jumps for rental. At a later date, he would also intend to build a new home at this site. Because the proposed development is consistent with the character of the area, the staff recommends the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file, the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plan in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development, that all exterior lighting must be oriented inward toward the development or structures to minimize intrusion onto surrounding properties, that screening must be provided in accordance with Section 26-50 of the Parish Code of Ordinances prior to final electrical power, that the development adhere to the stormwater best management practices, that a runoff management plan will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering, and that no outdoor display or storage shall be allowed on the property.
Thank you, Ms. Tunn. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's presentation?
No.
Okay. There are no blue cards on this item. Are there any questions on this matter by the board to the staff?
Question for the staff.
Yes, sir.
I know that the screening is in there. How does it come into play in regards to what would need to be screened? Because you've got to set back away from the road, and I don't have any issue with it. I'm just curious about how that screening would work in this situation.
We would look at it just and review it and see if it meets that section of the code, and it may not require something.
Okay.
But we put it in there just so we can review it and make sure.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other questions? There being none, all those in favor state aye. Aye. Any opposed, state nay. Motion passes. Item 14, take appropriate action on EX-0921-0123, a request by Timothy Miller Edux for an exception to allow residential development, modular home at 3572 Ash Drive in Ward 6. I will entertain a motion for approval with conditions. Motion by Ms. Dickerson, second by Coach Williams. Ms. Tunn.
This property is located in North Sulphur and encompasses 1.3 acres of single-family residential zone land. The applicant's home was damaged due to Hurricane Laura, and they would like to place a modular home on the property to serve as their residence. The parish code requires an exception by the board for a modular home in an R1 single-family residential zoning and to allow the project to move forward. Because the proposed development is consistent with the character of the area, the staff recommends the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file, the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plan in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development, and that the development must comply with the requirements of the 2015 International Residential Code.
Thank you, Ms. Tunn. Is the applicant present and have anything to offer in this presentation? No.
No.
Okay. There are no blue cards on this item, so, okay. Any questions by the board for the staff regarding this item?
I have a quick question. Just out of curiosity, I know that street pretty well. I used to have a relative that lived there. There's a bunch of mobile homes on it. So why do you have to have a variance to get a modular home?
Because if you see the yellow part of that particular street, that's single family, and the back of it, the green part, is mixed residential, which allows for it. We're going to be looking at that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? There being none, all those in favor state aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item 15, take appropriate action on EX-0921-0124, a request by Billy Wagster Edux for an exception to allow residential development, manufactured home at 7006 Vincent Reed Road in Ward 3. I will entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Cobb, second by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Tunn.
This property is located in South Lake Charles and encompasses 1 acre of single-family residential zone land. The applicant's home was damaged due to Hurricane Laura, and they would like to place a manufactured home on the property to serve as a residence. The parish code requires an exception by the board for a manufactured home and to allow this project to move forward. Because there have been similar requests granted in the immediate area and the proposed development is consistent with the character of the area, the staff recommends the request be granted with the following conditions. That the development adhere to the site plan on file, the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plan in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development, and that the manufactured home must be skirted prior to utilities being connected.
Thank you, Ms. Tunn. There are no blue cards on this item. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's presentation? Okay, thank you. Any questions by the board for the staff on this matter? And being none, all those in favor state aye. Aye. Any opposed, state nay. Motion carries. Item 16, the next item on the agenda is to advise that the police jury took the following action on September 23rd, 2021, with reference to the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Board from September 21st, 2021 meeting. LaFawn Farm, Grag Road, Planning and Zoning recommended approval. Police jury approved. Pamela Day, Gulf Highway, Planning and Zoning recommended to approve. Police jury approved. Item 17, the next item on the agenda is to advise that the next regularly scheduled Planning and Zoning meeting will be held on Tuesday, November 16th, 2021. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Ms. Dickerson. Second by Mr. Dubrock. Meeting is adjourned.